happy to have you guys on here tonight. And I'm so grateful to have found a block of time to get on and share with you. The majority of you are on my Voxer group that I share other people's great material with, and the things that I do creatively. Obviously, I share with you whatever I share with my directors. And so if you're not on my Voxer list and somebody else invited you to the call, then let me know and just send me a private Voxer message. I'm Pamela Waldrop Shaw on Voxer, and I will get you on that list as well. But you know, it is the heart of a national sales director to support the Go Give, Mary Kay Go Give national area. And I think one of the things that I'm most excited about right now is creating sustainable growth. And I feel like I have some credibility in doing that. And so I want to share that with you tonight. Okay. The problem that I did was I don't think I created a mute when you get on situation. And so I'm just going to have to keep playing admin here, do my own admin as I teach. But I can do that, right? That's gonna work. Okay, I would like to do a quarterly director meeting like this, absolutely, and get on and share. And let me tell you how today's going to go. Today is going to go that I'm going to share some content on creating sustainable growth, and then I'm going to ask for questions, and then we'll record this and I'll send it back to you. So here's what I'm learning is that not everybody knows a lot about Zoom because they don't know that when they get on and start talking, I'm gonna not sure what I'm gonna do about that except deal with it. Okay. If you just got on, could you go ahead and mute yourself out? I think I did it. So I'm muting people and they're unmuting themselves, so I think I should just leave it alone. Okay. Let's talk about sustainable growth. First of all, I want to invite you to, if you're in the Diamond Seminar, invite you to our Director Day. If you don't have a place to go that you want to go, we're on day 00. We start early in the morning, and you'd be welcome to join the Shaw Area Directors at Diamond Seminar for our Director Day. That evening, we do a red rally, and we bring all of our consultants in, and it's a whole lot of fun. My directors run it, and so you're more than welcome to come to that. So make a note about day 00. If that is a fit for you and you'd like to have a place to connect. Okay, let's see.
Real quick to let you know I have 3 guests coming.
I don't know if she can hear me. Okay, cool.
I'm trying to save people from themselves, right? I'm really trying to do this. Okay. All right, let's grow. Let's grow in 2020. You're on here because the way I titled the Zoom and the title of the lesson for tonight is Sustainable Growth. And I believe with all my heart that you want to grow. We have history and legacy on our side, and we have a future because of what we do. We have an incredible skincare line, the best that it's ever been to meet the majority of needs that are in the United States today. And Mary Kay Ashton used to say often, as long as baby girls are being born, and then we've got a great business. And I still believe that's true. I don't believe anybody is competitive with us. And because I served on lots of advisory boards, had the opportunity to try a lot of products that are out there. And let me tell you something, I'm gonna tell you a little secret right now. You ready to know what it is? If there was something better out there, I would privately be using it because it's my face. It's the only face I get, and I've hit an age that if there was something better, let me tell you, I'd be using it. And you can go into my bathroom, I'll walk you right in there, and what you would see are all Mary Kay products. You would see Time Wise Repair, you would see Mary Kay Naturally, you would see every mask that we have, other supplements that we have, because I do believe it's the best. And so we have history and legacy on our side. We have future on our side because of what we do and where we are. And our journeys are for growth. Our journeys are for our growth and for other people's betterment. At this season of my own life, I consider it my great joy and privilege and gift to encourage, empower, elevate, equip, and inspire people to live the best version of their lives through maximizing God-given talents and strengths in a way that brings you joy, fulfillment, wealth, while you bless and serve others from your most authentic, courageous, and called visionary life. That's what I do. Now, I want to ask you, what do you do? When someone says, what do you do? Now, I might not be able to say it, that like eloquently every single time. It needs to be a little shorter for what do I do, but what I do, it's a joy and it's a privilege. And so I'm going to invite you to think about your 8-second soundbite, what you do. And so thank you for the blessing of being able to for me to get to do what I love to do tonight. I've been where you are. I've been in your shoes. I've been in your unit size. I've been at your place of discouragement. I have had most of the wins that you've had. And I'm here to tell you right now that because I've been where you are, I feel like I have a lot of integrity in talking with you about what your future can look like. I have the advantage of 34 years history in Mary Kay. I'm still anticipating the amazing future, but with even more confidence in the cycle and the journey. And I am confident in what creates sustainable growth. I'm going to give you a quick history lesson from my own experience. You know why? Because the only way we can truly teach is from our own experience. So I want to share with you my quick eye story in this business with the hope that it will encourage you, because I'm going to tie some things in as I go along. When I came into this business, I was completely unskilled in this business, but I was skilled. I brought something to the table, just as you have brought something to the table. If you know your top 10 strengths, you can draw on how you've developed and utilized these strengths all of your life. So my top 10 strengths are maximizer, strategic, belief, responsibility, activator, relator, achiever, futuristic, significance, and learner. And so I feel like I'm operating and growing the 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are pretty solid. But enthusiasm and commitment took me through round 1. Humility and learner took me through round 2. Vision and determination took me through round 3. Achievement and earning took me through round 4.
That whole side of the street over
And
there.
out of my comfort zone
Still has yards.
has taken me through the rest of the journey. Anytime you're in your comfort zone, you are not working on developing a strength or a talent to a new place. So out of comfort zone is what I believe is going to be the deal clincher for you to go the next leg. So where you are currently is completely aligned with the way you've been thinking. Now, if you followed me at all in the past 5 years, what you're going to have heard, and you will hear me repeat often, is that the way you're thinking about something is in fact the way that it is. And I'm not going to spend as much time as I would like to on this tonight, because I'm going to spend more time on this moving forward, but I can be completely confident in saying to you right now that the way you're thinking about something, whether you're aware of it or not, whether you're aware that it's a limiting belief or a fear belief or a historical belief or experience or what if, the way you're thinking about it, your level of commitment to an outcome, your work ethic, and your willingness to do or not do what you know would be the next best game-changing, courageous action, that's where you are, and that's where you've been. So I want you to consider a new approach. Okay, consider a new approach. 43 to 44% of all people are looking for a side hustle, according to a CBS News report. That's if they like their jobs. 43 to 44% of all people are looking for a side hustle. Forbes forecasts that 79 million people are going to open a home-based business in the next 5 years. 79 million. So it comes down to the way you're thinking about it. Your thoughts, your thinking, the clarity of the outcome that you want. Limiting beliefs. You know what? I did not know that you could return product. So even after I had bought product and I was not succeeding in Mary Kay and I couldn't get a booking and blah, 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 I didn't know you could return product. So it never was a thought in my mind to return product. I didn't know you could resubmit DIQ. So it was never a thought that I might resubmit DIQ. And so I really want to encourage you to, as I'm talking tonight, I want you to jot down, what are you thinking about? What thoughts are you thinking? What limiting beliefs keep recurring? What's a message you keep telling yourself that you know it's not serving you well? I can't if only I'm not, anything that goes along that line, we need to find it and we need to bring it in, give it a voice. Because as long as there are those type of thoughts or the lack of clarity of an outcome, we're going to stay in the same place. I believe with all my heart that when you add clarity of an outcome, solid thoughts that will take you forward, you overcome your limiting beliefs, you have a driving purpose, and you create a fresh willingness. When you see all the problems and the inconvenience and the cost, instead of a winning outcome, you're going to stay where you are because it's where your brain will take you. So I am going to spend some time in a minute talking about how to reframe the thoughts. You can do it. And there are some ways that you can do it faster than slower. So here's the truth. There's a science to growth and you can take it to the bank. And I'm going to give you that science to growing your unit size tonight. Before we start, I want you to write down on your paper that's in front of you or iPad, whatever you're on, what unit size would you want to have in your world? Like what's your dream unit size? So this is my 34th year in Mary Kay. I've been a national sales director for 20 years, and this is our 25th year completing the $1 Million Unit Club. So I feel like I have credibility to share with you how to build a strong unit and how to create sustainable growth. I feel like many people like their limiting beliefs and their fears and their worries more than they like the truth or more than they want to make a change. So depending on where you are is how well you may receive this. There are some timeless truths and standards that don't change. There are just some timeless truths, you know, society changes and fashion changes, lingo changes, technology changes, but there are some timeless truths and standards that do not change. What is a given? How and where do you need to pivot to become more relevant, to add your style to it? When people know better, they tend to do better unless they like their unhealthy, unproductive method better. And I don't believe that's you, or you wouldn't have gotten on the call tonight. In other words, if the pain of change is greater than the pain of remaining the same, most people will choose to remain the same, even if they say that they want a different outcome. But when people know better, they do better. So for example, weight management is no longer calories in, calories out. There's a whole lot more to it. And it's never been easier than today to hit and maintain an ideal weight. I mean, just through the science of what people know about intermittent fasting or ketogenic diet or alternating keto, high and low carb, there are so many healthy ways. It's no longer calories in, calories out. People used to do calories in, calories out. I was a freshman in college when the big fat-free craze came through. Fat-free, fat-free. Well, nobody said fat-free means loaded carbs and sugar. So I went through college like fat-free. I'll eat a whole Entenmann's roll, right? Well, that did not work. So when you know better, you do better. I really want to encourage you to hear me from a different place tonight, because I believe you want to do better. So I'm going to share some things with you that I believe, if you're willing to embrace them, they may sound familiar, but I believe that what I'm going to give you tonight is knowing better. So calories in, calories out, that used to be the way. You know, I used to keep all my receipts in a big basket and take them to my accountant. Now that I know better, I have QuickBooks Sunday, and I catch everything up on Sunday so that really my taxes were prepared January 1st, you know, because I had kept up. So when I know better, I do better. It's on QuickBooks. We're all on a journey. We don't learn the same things at the same time. We don't integrate the same systems at the same time. We don't hit the same victories at the same time. Respect the journey. I promise you, if you will keep in mind a couple of hashtags that I refer to often. First hashtag is process of accumulation. Second hashtag is interrupt your pattern. And so I want you to think those two things with me tonight as we walk through. Let's just jump into my journey. I came with virtually no Mary Kay skills, but I came with some skills. I came with some leadership skills. I came with a tremendous amount of enthusiasm. And right away, I had 2 offspring sales directors. Why? Because I had a senior director who knew how to vision cast for a goal. Her goal was to go on the first ever trip she'd ever been on to Hong Kong. I happened to be in DIQ January through June, and so she would win or not earn the use of that the reward of that trip June 30th. The last month of that seminar year, she needed to do, I think it was 68,000 unit production to go on the trip. My DIQ team contributed 24,000, and we'd finished our required production long before. I wanted to help her finish that goal. I wanted to contribute to that. So I had my first 2 offspring directors, and I started thinking things like, wow, what is the big deal going national? What is everybody else so upset about? I mean, these directors who've been around forever, and they'd say things like, yeah, I have an out-of-town unit. And I'd be like, well, why don't you start a local unit? I mean, I just couldn't understand some of the excuses they were giving when we would have local director meetings. And I knew immediately why they didn't like me, because I asked questions that seemed obvious, but they didn't want me to ask the questions. But I really wanted to learn. I really wanted to know, why would you live in a location and have an out-of-town unit and not build a local one? Okay, sounded like an excuse to me. And guess what it was? So with the debut of my amazing unit and 2 offspring directors behind me, the Cadillac came with that. I will tell you that my first Cadillac, I didn't track it, just showed up with that volume. Then both of those directors quit and returned product. And a lot of people went away with them. And what had been so much fun was no longer fun. That Cadillac that I didn't track, it got towed from my apartment. And I did drive another car, for which I was grateful, but not grateful as I needed to have been. It was a pink Century. It was, in the history of our company, the ugliest car that Mary Kay has ever put on the road. But I had a car, and I knew that the next car would be a Cadillac, and I wanted to know how to get back there. When you lose, or you feel like you've lost, and you feel like it's public, and it's in the Applause magazine, and it's at your local awards, and it's on the big stage, it's really tough to come back and rebuild. However, I got advice from my national sales director, Nan Stroud, and her advice was, I want you to hear this. So we went from becoming a unit of about 30 people, debuting 2 offspring through that right away within the next 3 months afterwards. So the unit size was still small. I had the attrition of those coming back in, but they were on their way out, because the mindset was, well, if Adrian and Sally can't do it, I can't do it. Maybe only Pam can do it. That was the word on the street. Not a good word. And so Nan's advice was, Pam, don't worry about offspring. Build to 100 with a sea of reds, and build reds with reds. Y'all, what we're talking about today with reds and teams of reds, this is not new advice. Newsflash. This is not something somebody just came up with. This has been around since Adam. I am talking 32 years ago. The way I built my $1 million unit was focusing on building a unit to 100 with a sea of reds, and reds with reds on their teams. Now, I talked to my national sales director about 5 times in my entire career, maybe fewer, maybe
no teeth either.
That was one of them.
I hear.
And that particular time that we spoke it was truly life-changing, because at that time, I didn't know if I was going to be in or out. I had a lot of thoughts going on in my head, and they were not good. I was still in debt. I came into Mary Kay to get out of debt. When I came into Mary Kay, I spent all my profit, and I kept doing the same habits that had gotten me into debt as a school teacher. So now I was in debt. Now I had a loan, and I was in even more debt. And my sister's voice kept ringing in my head, Pam, you know, you're willing to work hard, but in order for you to succeed in this company, you're going to have to find other women who are willing to work as hard as you, and you're not going to find them. Her voice was in my head. And she's my smarter, older sister. In or out? Let me tell you something. You cannot stay at that place of indecision with all of those swirling negative experiences, losses, grief, and uncertainty rolling around in your head and expect to attract people, or expect to grow. And so at that point, I had to make a decision, in or out. And I made the best decision, obviously. But at the time, what you don't know is what was going on behind the scenes. You didn't know me then. You didn't know my name then. It was Pam Waldrop. You didn't know me. And if you were looking on at the story of my life, you would probably say, and we probably never will know you. Now, my goal is not to be known, but I knew there was a moment of integrity, the private win, where I would have to decide. So let me ask you right now, where are you on your journey in the private win where you're going to have to decide? So I made a decision, and I made a decision to stay in, and I made a decision to build a unit to 100, and then I made a decision to build $1 million unit. And I made a commitment to build $1 million unit. Why? Because I saw the money and the sisterhood of the $1 million position at that time, the $1 million slumber party, the advisory board. They got to meet Mary Kay. They got to dine with Mary Kay. I saw friends who would think bigger than my existing friends versus the biggest complaining people in the company and the quitters and the gossipers. And I went to a leadership conference and I heard Sue Kirkpatrick talk, and her talk, what I remember about her talk was this: Kirk does this and then I do this, and then Kirk does that and then I do this, and then Kirk does this and I do this, and then Kirk does, and I was like, if I had a Kirk, I could be $1 million director. And I'm like, okay, I don't have a Kirk, but I'm gonna hire a Claudia. So I hired a Claudia to do all of what Kirk was doing. And then I heard a director say from the stage, I'm going to be Florida's first $1 million unit. And I thought, oh no, oh no. You know what? She won't do it, but I will. I'm going to lead Florida's first $1 million unit. These things are starting to happen kind of close together. And I'm thinking to myself, she's blowing smoke. I can count on myself when nobody's watching. I can count on myself when the lights go down. I am going to build Florida's first $1 million unit. And I put it everywhere. I put it everywhere. I put it on my newsletter. I put it on postcards. I put it on my outgoing phone machine. I remember I got a call once from a woman who wanted me to adopt her, a girl who wanted me to adopt her. When I returned her call, she goes, are you really Florida's first $1 million director? And I said, no, not yet. It's a goal. But she goes, I didn't think so. I was like, okay, come on into my meeting and you can see how we roll. We were Florida's first $1 million unit. And Florida's #1 unit for the remainder years that I lived there. And then Kentucky's #1 unit when I moved here. There is sustainable growth. There is a way to do it. And I'm going to get to telling you how. However, I want you to know that what I'm telling you so far is also telling you how. How many of you know that I'm already telling you how? Good. Here is the history of my journey. $250,000 unit club. Like I have a bar pin. It used to be a unit club. 250,000. Year 2, 250,000. But I meant to do it the second year. The second year was the proudest 250 I ever had. The next year, I just knew we were going to go $1 million. This is the year that I met Jerry Shaw in between these 2 years. And he said, what's your goal? I said, it's to do the $1 million. And he said, what did you do last year? I said, we did $250,000. He goes, don't you think your goal's a little high? I'm like, don't you think you need a dumber girlfriend? Because that is not going to work with me. You cannot go on my journey if that's what you think, Mr. Marketing Major, you know. And so he changed his tune really fast. But we went from 250 to 350. It was actually 398,000. And so I begged my sales development director to give me a $400,000 bar pin. You know how the story goes. It's the saddest thing in the world. No, they do not round up math in Mary Kay. Only in Mary Kay do we not round up for bar pins. You know, everybody else in the world rounds up math. No, not us. You round down. So 398, it was 350. But the goal did not change. It was still the $1 million. The next year we did $500,000 and my unit was in the top 8 at Diamond Seminar. I got a big girl ring. Now, 500. I'm thinking, okay, we're making progress. 250, 250, 500. But at this pace, I really want to know that I know that I know. I want to know that I know that I know that I can hit the $1 million. So I asked for reports. I asked for other people's reports. I asked for other $1 million directors' reports. And initially, nobody was going to give them to me. And I'm like, yes, you are going to give them to me because I'm going to make it worth. I'm going to take this apart and I'm going to figure it out. So actually I got them. I got reports of $1 million directors, 3, 4, 5, I can't remember. And they covered up their names and numbers and everything, you know, like with official markers. Because it was a hard copy then. Like it wasn't even emailable. Like I got them in an envelope. So when I got them, you all remember what one of my top 5 strengths is, right? Strategy, strategic, and then maximizer, responsibility, belief, and activator. So I've got these 5 reports and I'm engaging my strengths. I didn't even know that's what they were then. I was just doing me. And I started to look and see what is common ground amongst these reports. Because some of them, one of them had a big unit size. One of them had a lot of new people. One of them had 5 offspring. One of them had a bunch of reds. So I was looking for what are the common factors. And here's what I came up with. There are 5 critical areas for growth that were common to all of the $1 million reports. Number 1, every single person added at least 10 or more new recruits every single month. At that time, it was more like 20 to 30, but 10 was the non-negotiable number. Every single one of the $1 million directors, and this will probably have held up through trip directors and $500,000, but 10 or more. So we shot for 25 a month. I put that number out there. I was stone bold, cold, committed to it. And I was going to create an environment that would invite 25 people to our unit meeting every single week, because I knew if we had 25 at every single meeting, we would have 25 new people because I was going to work to close them. The highest we ever hit for growth was 68, and it's because I had set the goal of adding 100. A couple months after that, Gloria added something like 203 or 205, and I was like, oh man, you know, can I ever just win for a minute without her beating me? No is the answer. Just a minute. But that's okay, because it's in the stretch and it's in the celebration of someone else's excellence that you're thinking is stretched. So now you're like, okay, so for those of you who are like getting ready to shut down on me, I've heard 10 new people a month forever. This is not new. Okay, write that down, because you might have a limiting belief around that conversation. And if you have a limiting belief around that conversation, just go ahead and click yourself off, because there's nothing I can say from this point that it's going to make it better for you. So if you've already shut down, I'm going to invite you to come back and say, I want to add 10 or more a month. I want to believe that I can and will add 10 or more a month. Both of those things are true for me right now. What's the number you want to add? The second thing common to all of those reports is that they had 1,000 wholesale order initial average in the agreement month. It used not to be A+1. If you all have been around long enough, you remember when the bonuses for the new consultant order were when you ordered product in the same month. And so their common ground was absolutely 1,000 wholesale with every new average with their new in the first month. Now, let's say that 5 didn't order, but they had 10,000 in new consultant production. So the average of 1,000. The third thing that was common to all of them was that they had 33 to 50% of their unit ordering every single month, and 33 to 50% of all new people ordering in their first month. So 33 to 50% of all people, existing and new, ordering. The fourth common factor was a personal strong team. That personal 13% check, they didn't miss it. They were leading by example enough to create the growth, and it was on $8,000 to $10,000 team. It wasn't like $2,000 teams and $3,000 teams. Their personal team were on $8,000 to $10,000 wholesale. And then the fifth thing was that they had retention and people reinstating, and it was strong. So I want you to think about 2 things with these 5. Okay, I want you to think about this 2 ways. 1, open the door wide. We don't decide for people why they come in, if it's personal use, if it's family and friends, if it's to go to the top of our company. You open the door wide. There's room for everybody to come in. And then that 5th one is you lock the door tight. Nobody gets out. Retention is important. I have an average of 30 people reinstating every single month in my unit today. Why? They don't want to go anyplace else. Why? Because we're working on our $25 million year. My unit, okay. Can I get some love? My unit was #1 in all the company in December. Thank you, Sherry. I see you applauding. 45,000 wholesale in December, my unit. You better bet I told them that. I called to find out, hey, where'd my unit rank? If they were able to rank, why? Because I need them to want to be a part of a winning team, and I've got to create that for them. They'll never be able to walk on stage for it. They won't even get reserved seats for it, but they like winning. So retention, locking that back door. People want to stay with you when you're going somewhere. Retention, retention starts with the very first conversation you have with your new consultant, because if she donates or throws away her old products that she's using, and she decides and embraces the wisdom of becoming a brand ambassador for Mary Kay by wearing our product head to toe, sharing it with at least 5 people who do the same thing. When she becomes a brand ambassador for our product from the very beginning of her business, she will always have to order. Jan Thetford has done some math, and I think what she says is that if you use, the average person in Mary Kay uses 50 products, and that if we use that many products, we would need to place about a $225 wholesale every single month. Now, I've not found that true. However, I am one of my very best customers, and I'm sure you're one of your very best customers. So this is a place where I think there's an opportunity for us to get better, locking that back door, the retention of making sure they can't afford to leave. They can't even go to Target and buy product at the same price with the quality and the fellowship that goes along with it. So those 5 critical areas for growth: 10 or more new people. What's your number? We shot for 25. The highest we hit was 68, but I was nervous if we did not hit more than 25 a month. And I went to work every single day and month to make sure that that number was happening. 1,000 wholesale initial order, expecting star consultants and expecting power starts and expecting pearls of sharing. Third thing, 33 to 50% of your new ordering unit and new. Your number 4, your 13% personal commission check on 8 to 10,000 plus wholesale production, and then retention, lock that back door. What were the variables as I looked at those reports? There were also 5 variables. The first variable was large unit size. They all had units of 200 plus. So unit size was a variable, but in terms of growth, those first 5 are the money. If you do those first 5, then your rank is going to depend on these 5. If you do those first 5, then your rank is going to depend on these 5. So I'm calling them variables because let's say you have a unit size of 100, but you do those top 5, but you put it up against a unit who's got 300 and they're also doing those top 5. They will beat you because they've got unit size as a variable and unit size as a trump card. So I'm telling you this so that you will say, I'm going to get unit size as my variable, and it's going to be my trump card as well. So a trump card and a variable is unit size. Number 2, a variable where you can shake it up. If you want to shake it up fast and get competitive with what you're earning and get other people earning more, grow your unit size. Number 2, star consultants. So star consultants was a variable. Almost everybody in the $1 Million Reports, almost everybody had 100 stars for the year, because 100 stars pretty much does equate to $1 million. I've had it to 125. But if you, let's say you have a unit of 75, but you end up figuring out how to get 80 stars this year. That is a variable, and that is a trump card. Let's say you're just good at stars. You have great star outings, and you can elevate your number of stars who bring stars. You do know that somebody who comes into the business as a star, she's got 5 more people she could bring in, and they will come in as stars if you go after them right away. You do not let the sun set. You go get them with her right away. So stars. Number 3, a way you can shake it up, if you want to shake all this up, is personal selection and court of sharing. It's a variable. Okay, I'm going to tell y'all something. I'm going to put it on recording. Sean Key's already announced it to like 1 million people, but so I'm going to go ahead and confess it. I have never done the National Court of Sales or the National Court of Sharing. I know. So I want to talk about that for a minute. Here's my history. 250 with no years in between. 250, 250, 350, 5, 800, million, 25 years with 2 950s in between. I did what I needed to do. I did personal selection, what I needed to do. I kept the ball moving, what I needed to do. The place I got stuck was at the million before NSD. Why? I was single. I was an income earner. I was earning to create my future, and I was also earning to get out of debt at the same time. So I did not have time to go Zoom, Eek, Zoom, Eek, Zoom, Eek. When I took this on for sustainable growth, to create wealth, and to support other people in creating wealth. And so I had one seasonal hiccup. Yes, there have been some other, of course, learning moments in the back, but not, am I going to quit or am I going to stay? That was the one time. Okay. So another variable is I say personal selection and court of sharing. I think the most I had was like 18 qualified in a year where I was really going after finding those other leaders. I took charge of finding those leaders. I wasn't looking for a checkbox victory. I was looking to create sustainable growth. Now, I also want to say those not being able to have bragging rights about either of those courts is a career regret. I was a director before I knew about the courts. My director didn't talk about the courts. I learned about the courts when I got to my first seminar in my director's suit. That was the first time I'd even heard about them. I'm like, what do they do? I mean, I didn't even know about them. So I was already into building my unit before I understood the courts. So again, it was a not knowing. It was where get this, it was where my focus was. My focus was on growing my unit size. And I was doing personal activity, sales, and team building in the needed proportion to build that. Okay, number 4 variable is reds with reds on their team. So you've got depth, reds who have reds on their team, and teams who are doing 2,000 to 5,000 a month. And number 5, DIQs and offspring for the year. That's a variable. When you have DIQs and offspring for the year, you will get another bump. So the 5 standard ones you get and the 5 variables you get. So DIQs and offspring will change that number. I looked at these numbers in my own national area, and my top 5 every single year hit those top 5 variables every single time, 10 or more new. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so when I figured this piece out, my goal was to do, it was like, okay, we can do this because it's on paper, it's in black and white. When you're looking at reports, they don't have feelings. They don't get rejection. They don't have someone else's opinion. Reports don't have your neighbor saying you're going to sell lipstick. You don't get any of that. If you're just looking at the black and white, that's why I want to give you just the black and white of sustainable growth. It has no emotion attached to it. It just is. It just is. Didn't change the goal. That next year, I believed with all my heart we were going to hit the million. And I believed it until January. And I went to leadership and I heard other people doing bigger things who were more on target. And I came home and I didn't believe it. I didn't believe we would do the million. But we did 800,000. 250, 250, 350, 5, 8. Still a big jump. Still a big, good jump. Both trips. I got married that November. I took him that next September on the trip. It was all great. But I knew why we didn't do it. Because I believed it for 6 months, but I didn't believe it for the next 6. That next year, y'all, we were going to do 1 million or I was going to die trying. We were going to do the million. We're going to cross over 225 people. We're going to do 100 stars. This is our year. We did 1,250,000. And that year, I learned another $1 million lesson. If it matters to you, pay attention to what's going on around you because Suzanne Brothers did 1,275,000. And so Mary Kay crowned her that year and I was number 2. It was a big year. The next year, I had a baby, and our goal was to repeat the million. You know, like in sports, repeat. It was not a goal, but momentum allowed us to do it. We scathed across the million. The next year, we moved to Kentucky, and I just thought, I've lost everything because my physical presence was the thing, and I'm not in front of my people anymore. And I'm thinking I won't be able to do it. The goal was to three-peat, like in sports. Barely did we do it. And then I accessed every medium available to me, from technology and televerse and any way I could get my voice in front of my people. And then this was 1996 and 1997. And I brought my unit to the #1 in Diamond, and then the first #1 unit in Pearl. But my thoughts aligned with this outcome. I had a manila folder in an old desk in this room, in an old desk in this office, and I would write on that manila folder what I would say to my parents sitting on the throne from that position. I wanted to bring my toddler and my husband and my family on stage. I knew exactly what it would look like. So let me ask you, if this particular journey is not your pathway or desire, what are your thoughts about where you're going? Who will reward or appreciate your accomplishment? What will they say to you? What will you be able to say with the accomplishment that's important to you? I take you through that journey because I want you to know I can continue to give you what it takes for you to grow your unit. It is a combination of knowing your number and owning your thoughts. Those two things. So, what's your number? What is the number of your unit size June 30th, 2020? What's your number? Growth drives excitement and fast momentum. Unit size reveals who is ready to move up next. You don't have to worry about your next ready now leader. You don't have to worry about your next red jacket. When you create a momentum and an environment for growth, and you have more new people coming in, these new people coming in will want to be a part of the growth, and they'll want to get their first team members, and they'll want to get into their red jackets. A unit size increase gives you higher earnings, and it gives you higher confidence to speak about the opportunity. I want to have a conversation with you about wealth. Why not you? Why not create wealth? Why not? What would you be able to do with more that would make you know that you are contributing in a way that you aren't able to do without it? What's your number? It was my overriding #1 thing, and every other program and meeting and gathering and decision was built around how to increase that number. My meeting was created around how to get guests in that room, because I knew in that room that what I would do is that I would absolutely talk about our fabulous our company, our marketing plan, and through recognition that I would be able to share with them my story, and that hands down, we would be able to team build in that moment, in that night. I learned how to do a group talk and a group close. Oh my goodness, you talk about out of my comfort zone. Woo! I mean, when I first started doing it, I was like sweating, like, am I gonna really ask somebody to get out of her seat and come up here right now? And then I would turn around, like, and I would ask them to come up, and I would turn around, like, pray, oh dear Lord, God, let somebody be getting out of her seat. But I had the courage to do it. I took the courage to do it. I developed the skills that I developed were around more storytelling and connection than it was at that time of even mastering the business and skills and steps to get them moving as fast as possible. So what drove each of those critical 5 points and the variables? I'm gonna give you what drove it. And these, I would say, are your 6 go-to things next, okay? So here they are. Okay, I'm having trouble muting this one iPhone. If you just got on, if you could mute yourself. Thank you, you did it. Okay, here they are. #1, a solid and rockin' gathering place called unit meeting. I mean, a place where people gather. People want to gather. Listen, if we were in the same room right now, first of all, I love that the technology allows us to do this, right? I love that because it allows me to come to you, and it allows 200 of us together from around the nation on a Sunday night where we would not, It would be very expensive and difficult to get together, but that's not normal in your local area. You can create a local meeting. And if you don't, you're missing the opportunity of creating growth, because people, when they're together, the energy is different. The vibe is different. The determination is different. The storytelling is different. The recognition is different. You've got to have a solid and rocking gathering place. And here's the deal. Back in the day, we rented space to grow. We rented space so that we could grow. We didn't rent space for the people that we had. We rented space so that we would be able to, the Kevin Costner movie, if you build it, they will come. I see training centers today, of which I am not a fan, and I'm not saying I wouldn't have one if I wasn't a director, but I'm going to put out there what I see as the obstacles. You go into another business with another group of people who did the toilet paper, who didn't vacuum the floor, who locked the key, who let somebody in. I mean, it's just like, oh my gosh, it has nothing to do with growing your business, and you're in a whole real estate situation with another group of people. That's the number one reason I don't like them. The second reason is that I think you need a space where you can grow, and training centers they're the space that they are. And so if you want to grow, you got to have a room where there are more chairs for people to grow. Y'all, I had my unit meeting. I had that one. I had that unit meeting that I set everything up, and banner, and got all my stuff out, all my prizes and music. And I'm like looking at my watch like, gosh, there must be a wreck on I-95 tonight in Fort Lauderdale. Something, what is going on? 6:30. No one's coming. Oh my gosh. I was devastated. I walked downstairs and I wrote a check. Yeah, we had a checkbook for $75 plus to the Marriott that I did not have, that I had to go sell product for the next day and beat the bank, which you used to be able to do. And I made a decision. This will never happen again. Not, maybe I should not hold a unit meeting. That never crossed my mind. It never crossed my mind that maybe nobody wanted together. No, instead, I took responsibility and I started calling people once during the week and once the night before the unit meeting. Tell me about who you're bringing tomorrow night, Lisa. Tell me who you're bringing tomorrow night, Karen. Who's coming with you? Nobody? Okay, well, you know what? Get 2 or 3 guests. Call me back in an hour. Let me know who you're bringing. Sherry, who you bringing tomorrow night? Nobody? Okay, well, listen. Call a couple people. Call me back and let me know who you're bringing, because I want to have the right number of gifts for all your guests. I worked that situation. If you have nobody coming to your meeting and you've bought in, listen, let me tell you something. You have created a neural pathway. It's like, it's in your brain. You've created it. Nobody wants to come to meetings. People don't want to get out. They don't want to pay. You're wrong. I'm just telling you, you are wrong. And if you want to hold on to that belief, then you can keep getting what you've got. But if you want to learn from me, sustainable growth, it means gathering people. There are people today who are gathering a lot of people right now, and you can be one of them. Let me ask you something. I'm gonna say this again at the end, but why would you go to a unit meeting now? Why would you come out on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, or a Saturday morning? Why would you go? It would have to be good, relevant, entertaining, upbeat. It would have to be encouraging. It would have to be a place where people can build other people. It would have to be fast. It would have to create value, but you can do it. So a solid and rocking gathering place called unit meeting. There are flaws and there are conversations that do not serve you well. Get away from those people. If you want to grow, it's not a group sport. Eagles don't join hands and fly. I'm all about my tribe. I'm all about my fellowship. I'm all about connection. But when I'm in my office, it's this. It's decisions. Knowing the number, knowing your number. So a solid rocking gathering place. Number 2, girlfriend outings. Create opportunities for people to go someplace with you every single month. For me, it was people who placed a 600 wholesale and added at least 1 team member. That was my girlfriend tribe. And we did all kinds of fun things, from road rallies to makeup sessions to movies to bowling to ice cream to pizza parties to breakfast at my house. Girlfriend outings where people get to come. You're like, I did that once and nobody came. Yeah, but you didn't do it long enough. You did not do it for long enough to get enough mileage out of it. Number 3, you need a leadership and an inner circle. I had a leadership and inner circle quarterly and monthly leadership breakfasts and experiences. It started with 1 or 2, and it was just meeting them early in the day to talk about leadership skills. And as we grew, I let my Red Jackets lead the whole meeting. I assigned everybody a different element to the meeting. And somebody greeted, and somebody took the money, and somebody took the accomplishment sheets, and somebody opened the meeting, and somebody did a product commercial, and somebody was doing makeovers in the back, and somebody was teaching marketing over here, and I was doing new consultant orientation in the lobby, and somebody else was teaching existing consultants, booking and coaching and pre-profiling. And so everybody had a role, and nobody missed the meeting, but they were my leadership team. And so quarterly, I would have experiences and gatherings with people in red that were private, and we would talk about it. And today, of course, we would post it on my Instagram story, but we didn't have Instagram then. We didn't have Facebook then. Oh, wait, we didn't have cell phones then. So the reality is I had to do a whole lot of promoting because, well, cut and paste on a newsletter in order to get the word out that this is what we were doing. Girlfriend outings, leadership and inner circle quarterly experiences. And number 4, a vision that did not fade when it hadn't yet manifested. We're gonna do the million, new area, new unit, 250. We're gonna do the million, 250. We're gonna do the million, 350. We're gonna do the million, 500. We're gonna do the million, 800. Who believed it? Me. I was the only one who believed it, and I kept leading it and leading it. So knowing a vision that didn't fade even when it didn't manifest. And then number 5, knowing when to pivot and having a willingness to pivot. And number 6, keeping your fingers on the most important elements, the critical and the variables. So I believe that if I were new today and I was building to 100 or to 200, that there are just a few things I would be concerned about. You know, yeah, there is a lot. You're right. There's a lot. But I would let a whole lot go by the wayside. And here's what I would keep my fingers on. Number 1, I would have a solid new consultant conversation and system for her to get started with STAR inventory. I would have a solid new consultant conversation and inventory conversation so that no matter what, I had people coming in as stars. I would have a party opening, how to open the party, making sure that she did her power start, her pearls, tracked that second order, and then tracking her to red and her 3rd and 4th order. And y'all, I got to tell you this. I did this in 1990 before it was called Great Starts. It just makes sense. When someone comes in, she comes in as a star, and then she does a power start and gets her pearls, and then you move her to red and she places her 2nd order the 2nd month, and then her 3rd order the 3rd month. And I had my own tracking sheet, and I would just say, get an Excel sheet and, you know, track it. Yeah, we've got great reports today, but you know, there's nothing, I like a piece of paper in front of me where I can check all those different columns. I had one night a week where I called only new consultants. And when we're adding 25 a month, guess what? I needed one night a week to only call new consultants and track them to their very next steps. Wouldn't you love to give one night a week of your work week to calling 25 new consultants from last month? Yes, you would. And yes, you can. I want you to believe it. I want you to see it. I want you to wrap your head around it. Yes, you can. Do not give in to historical facts. History is history. Your whole future and everything starts right now, moving forward. It is not related to the past. The most inspiring stories ever are the stories of people who were, you know, ready to quit. Somebody quit on them. They were at a low point. They had lost all their confidence. Nobody was coming to their meeting. That they had to order a new starter kit. They were in debt with their inventory, and then bam, they built to 100, and then they built to 200, and then that 3rd year they had $1 million unit, and then that 4th year they built their national area. Those are the stories we live for. We love those stories. But when you're at that place of quit, down, attrition, debt, it's not so fun. But that's where grit comes in. So if I were at that place, I would have a rockin' unit meeting, a solid new consultant conversation, and systems for her STAR inventory conversation, her party opening and closing, her power start, her pearls, her 2nd order, tracking her to red, that third and fourth order, one night a week, tracking all of that. I would have a unit meeting rewards consistent so that people can win. They need to know where they can win. Simple benchmarks that reward where they can win. I would create separate opportunities for leaders and people moving up, even if it starts with senior consultants. I would have a solid, non-changing vision or visual. I just put together my vision board this past week, and I love looking at it. But I would always have the one banner, not a bunch of stuff going on, not ADHD room where you don't even know where to move your attention. Like when you walk into your unit meeting, is it like, whoo, is it I mean, just because you like it, it's from 2016, get it down. People do not need to be confused and distracted. If I walked in your unit meeting, I want to see one message. We are building $1 million unit. We are building to 100. I want to see one singular message. A non-changing visual, repeated, engaged. And that's a really important piece of it. And then the other thing I would say to you about a non-negotiable is you just never dial it in. You don't just show up to a unit meeting and go through the motions. I am worn out with directors saying to me, tell me what to do. I'm like, well, tell me about your unit meeting. Well, we haven't had one in 2 weeks. So many people have had the flu. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, okay. In all my years of holding a unit meeting as a sales director, there was one meeting canceled, and the hotel canceled it on me because it was the week of Hurricane Andrew in South Florida. That's the one that got canceled. I didn't want to cancel it. I was like, no, I'm coming. They're like, no, you can't. We don't have electricity. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't even want to cancel it. I knew people needed what? Together. I knew people needed together. So I was going to hold my meeting. So these are the simple things. You're like, Pam, you didn't say newsletter. You didn't say website. No, I didn't. I did not. So if you don't have those things in place, I'm saying do those other things that I said. If you've got new consultant systems in place, a rockin' meeting, place where people can get recognition repetitively, an elite place where girlfriend outings were, let's say 600 plus one recruit, or maybe you just want to go with 600s, whatever you decide to do. And then something separate for your leaders together, for your reds to be a part of, and you start giving them experience at your meeting. Oh, it's the hardest thing to do. I will never forget one of the meetings where my reds, when I first started letting them take over, and the person that was opening the meeting that night, you can tell the pace that I talk, right? Okay, so here was her pace. Okay, everybody. Okay, let's get started. Y'all sit down. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, I think we're ready. Okay. She spoke at the speed of molasses. I thought I was going to eat my arm before I could get out of the room. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm thinking to myself, this is the worst meeting ever. I got home. I got a call from her. That was the best meeting ever. And I'm like, it was. Because the meeting they participate in, that's how they grow. And so that's what you want to have happen. So here's the thing. What's your number? What's the outcome you are fully committed to come June 30th? Because when you're what and your why, you want 100, 150, 200, 300. When your what is clear, I want to build $1 million unit. Why? Because these are the things that I want to say to my parents and my husband. When your what and your why. Why? Because I want these women that I lead to sit on the front row, and I want everybody to know who they are because they are worthy of that accomplishment. When your what, get to 200, do the million, and your why, to honor the people in my unit, to honor my family from stage. When those two things are clear, how? It's never the question. Directors today are asking how questions. How do I get people to come to a meeting? How do I get to 100? How do I retain people? How do I get past 50? You're asking the wrong question. Because when you know what your vision is, and when you know your number, let me tell you something, when you're fully committed to it, when you know your number and you're fully committed to it, and you start to see it, and you start to marinate on it, and you start to think about the people, and you start to thank God in advance for the people that are going to come your way, you are going to be shocked at the people who come your way and the multiplication that takes place. But as long as you're big toe in the water and ready to run in case it gets too cold, it's not going to happen. It will not happen. Law of attraction is not going to happen. But when your what and your why are clear, I don't care if the number's 40. When your what and your why are clear, how is not the question. You will start moving in a direction that actually positions you to bring that on. And then I'm telling you, the universe will come out to greet you. So when your what and your why are clear and in alignment, how is never the question. You can do everything, but you can't do everything, but you can do the most important thing right now. And it is your what and your why and those basic steps to get it going. Following the 10 critical things, recognizing where you can punch a couple of variables in. When I became a new national, I said to my directors, I'm going to give you the Shaw time advantage. When you hit this scenario, you will have an advantage over every other person in your seminar, in your city, in our area. The Shaw time advantage consists of 40 or more personal team members, not these pithy little teams that are not even team leaders in director suits. And that is not a judgment, and that is not to shame you. That is simply to say, get it to 40, build it. 40 or more personal team members. Secondly, on the grow by 10 a month, which will take you over 100 for the year. My top 5, all of these years throughout the years where we were debuting, Julia and Leah and Barbara, my top 5, and in the years where the 3 of them were going, top 10, had over 100 new unit members with 40 of them qualified. My top 5, you could take it to the bank. Shaw time advantage, 40 or more personal team members on the grow by 10 a month and over 100 for the year. The records for that, Blythe Egbert has a record of adding 244 for the year in our area. And Cindy Flippin holds the record for having the most qualified at 144. That's because I created a place for that abundance to take place. What if I never created the place for abundance? So it's sustainable growth that I'm talking about. Okay, the next piece of the Shaw time advantage is a 13% commission check every single month. And the last piece is 50% of your unit as senior consultants and 50% of those seniors in red. You're like, Pam, does your unit have that? No, it doesn't. But it is a focal point and it's a way to create multiplied growth. And if you're starting right now and if you're adding, under 10 a month, girl, you can get her in that senior pearl of sharing. And then you can move her to red. And if you focus on those two things and moving people all the time, you're going to see some amazing, amazing things happen. Okay, so what do you do today? What do you do today? Number 1, get your vision and your clarity for growth and your unit success. Get that really clear, like where you're going to end as a unit director by the end of June 30th. What's your vision and clarity for growth? How many reds? How many cars? How many leaders? How many stars? How many new consultants winning awards? Would I know if I walked into your unit meeting, this is what your goal is? Keep these 6 or 7 plates spinning in the air and give them rhythm and give them staying power. Vision for and clarity for growth, a unit success meeting, a place for reds, a place for cars, a place for leaders, more stars, and new consultants winning rewards. Secondly, I would have a non-negotiable 10 or more new. And I'm going to invite you to private message me, post it on wherever you can find me on social media. Share it. I want to know when you get 10 or more new, if that has not been your mojo. I'm telling you, y'all, push through. It's what grit is called. Grit is like a muscle. You have to exercise it to develop it. And then you have to repeat it in order to be able to flex it. And so that non-negotiable 10 or more new. And then 3, the multiplication of vision and rewards. Multiply that through other people. Star orders and power starts. Consistency rewards and benchmarks and girlfriend tribe outings and gatherings and star celebrations and go to the trouble. And then of course you all in. So what do you need to consider? Well, consider all these things as you look back through your report. Go back and look at your personal team size and the track record of your 13% commission check. How many new are coming in to your unit? How many are going out? What is your retention? Take a look at returns and see how tightly you're getting people on the product head to toe and what you can do about that. What's your 20% increase over last year? And then this month with double credit in January, I mean, just take this last week and bust it out and see where you can tap it out in every single place. The last thing I want to challenge you with is how much delegated help you have. I didn't have a Kirk, but I did hire a Claudia. I really do recommend that you stop hearing that advice and take that advice. And then every time somebody's cleaning your house or doing something in your office to support you, you are doing income producing activities that not only pay for them, but that create the impact of your growth. And so what are you looking for and why? Okay, I'm going to take a minute and invite you, if you have a question, to go ahead and ask it before I wrap everything up, because it took me a little bit longer than I thought getting everything quiet. So does anybody have a question that you want to ask? You have to unmute yourself and ask it. Okay, Stephanie, do I have to unmute you? I'll unmute you. Okay, Stephanie, I see you. You are unmuted.
Thank you. I missed what you said was variable number 5. Don't know if that's easy for you to remember or not.
Yeah, let me go back there. Variable. Variables, number 1, unit size. 2, stars. 3, personal selection and court of sharing. 4, reds with reds and strong $2,000 to $5,000 teams. And number 5, DIQs and offspring for the year. So multiplying leaders, DIQs and offspring.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Okay, let's see. Is it Chestina?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. When you were talking about increased growth after number 1, solid rock and gathering place called unit meeting, what was number 2?
What was number 2? Girlfriend outings.
Okay.
So we're creating monthly outings where people can win time with you, where you're having experiences together. I think one of the most telling things this year about Leadership Conference, because we've been to Orlando before for Leadership Conference. If you've been in long enough, you know, we've been there for other things. I've never seen more people create experiences with their team, with their offspring, with their future offspring, a promotion, with their families than now. Experiences have always been important, but they are really important to women today, and certainly to young women today. So that girlfriend outing was number 2. Anything else? I love how y'all know how to raise this little hand thing. I love that. Anybody else have a question? You want to unmute yourself or raise your hand? This is really fun to look at.
Hello?
Hi.
I don't know how to raise a hand.
That's okay. You know how to unmute, so that's working.
Okay, great. So early in the call, you talked about 2 hashtags that talk about throughout the time, and I didn't catch what the hashtags were.
Okay, the hashtags are hashtag process of accumulation, hashtag interrupt your pattern.
Thank you.
Now, are you Ellen?
Yes.
So Ellen, let me tell you why those 2 are important. Process of accumulation is, hashtag process of accumulation is, it's that day in and day out effort that where you are right now, where we all are right now, what we have is the result of the process of accumulation. Our choices every day, our thoughts every day, it is the process of accumulation. And if we want a different outcome, then we have to do a different process, because that will also accumulate. And then the interrupt your pattern is simply this. We've got to stop doing things that we do every single day to create space to do the things that will create the bigger unit, the growth that we want to have. And so when I find myself just doing something just because I did it yesterday, or thinking a thought just because I thought it yesterday, I have to ask myself if in fact this is going to make a difference in the outcome that I say that I want in my business. And if it's not, then I've got to stop doing that. I've got to pivot and I've got to move forward. See, here's the thing that I want you guys to walk away with tonight is that we're all kind of vibing. We're all giving out a certain energy, and that energy is either attractive or it's unattractive. And let me tell you what low energy is. Anything on a scale of 1 to 1,000, under 200 is pride, comparison, anger, frustration, discouragement, fear, immobilizing, grief, regret, apathy, guilt, loss of integrity, shame, embarrassment, emotional pain. Those are all below 200. Those are not very exciting. Have you ever walked in a room and you're like, oh, boy, the energy in here is like really bad. And then one person walks in the room and it's like, wow, who lit up this room? You can almost feel it, right? So at 300 starts gratitude. So be grateful for what is getting ready to come. If you can just flip all those other things, fear, pride, comparison, frustration, anger, grief, regret, worry, if you can flip all that and just get to gratitude, like I am so grateful for the people that are getting ready to come into my life. 350 is courage. 400 is generosity. And then at the top of the list is where you're just irresistible. It's woo, enlightenment. Mary Kay's book just like fell off the shelf. It really did. Oh my gosh, her book on people management like just jumped off the shelf. Okay. At the very top is like enlightenment and passion and irresistibility and peace and joy. And so, we got to be aware of what we're putting out because a decision is imminent, a non-negotiable decision, unit size win. Stop trying to pull the same outcome from the same people who have shown you they're not going to do it now. So when a decision is locked in, let me tell you what happens with a decision. It plugs the leaks of indecision. Enthusiasm is released and energy is raised. Priorities pivot. Excellence is claimed and mediocrity is rejected. Leadership is asserted. An exciting opportunity. Faith is unleashed in your future. When you make a decision, you're free to become more than what you've done. When you make a decision, hope is renewed. Your connection to God is strengthened. Your call is confirmed. Direction is established. Fears are met head on because you're going to hit that unit size number. Your focus is fixed. Youth is renewed. Goals keep you young. Did you know that? You invite the unexpected through the law of attraction. Your goal is no longer a fantasy. And so I'm going to invite you to take action on cementing this outcome and let the outcome be one, unit size growth. Everything else will come from it. Your earnings will come from it. Your multiplication will come from it. Y'all, you know what to do with 10 new people. You will multiply through that. But if you don't have the 10 people, you're going to stay in the same place. Let's go 15, 20, 25, 30 new people. You know what to do with them. And yes, you can manage it. So get clear on your outcome, the process, keep it simple, and then the identity. See yourself as a leader who deserves and who can manage and who will grow with this outcome. Your habits. What habits would a person who's going to make this decision, what would she have? Your goal has to be clear. Your affirmations, make them. Your vision board, put one up. A daily barrage of solid messages in your head. Create boundaries, make appropriate sacrifices. This is work, but I promise you, if you slow down so that you can speed up, if you put all these things in place first so that you can speed up, it's going to be worth it. Robert Schuller is quoted as saying, when we allow ourselves to live the undisciplined life of a careless disciple, casually allowing negative thoughts, entrance, and residence and nourishment in our minds, then we are our own worst enemies. There are some principles that I think you can take to the bank, and they're the Design Your Life principles. The first one is you can change anything in 90 days. The second one is you can't change anything you won't acknowledge. And so I really do believe that tools that track make a difference. It's why I put my 90-day planner through the growth process, through the creative work process, is so that I could share it. I use it every single day. And here's what I know that I know that I know that I know that I know. Unless your thoughts change, unless your habits change, and unless you work on those every day, write them down. You're working on those. You're writing out a new affirmation. You're writing out a positive version of who you are. When you move in that direction, I promise you everything else will change. But it starts in your mind. You got to know that number, and you got to totally have that everywhere, and then broadcast that to your unit, and then go to work doing everything to make that one number happen. I've got some teaching notes that you can access if you want to text the word GROW. Is that right? Yeah, GROW, G-R-O-W, to this number that I'm getting ready to give you. It's 270-245-1930. Again, it's text the word GROW, just the word GROW. Don't put any emojis with it or anything else. To 270-245-1930. My teaching notes are there, along with some reports and some tracking of those things that I told you to take a look at and see where you are. When you can look at your report and know that you are hitting those growth benchmarks, and when you align your thoughts to believe that I'm somebody who can attract 50 people to this unit meeting, and I'm going to get a unit meeting space that 50 people can be pressing the walls in, and then we'll grow again. When you change what you expect, women want together, women want to be together. I will create value. We'll have some yummy treats, some green drinks, some yummy foods to sample. We'll have eye gel patches. It'll be fun. It'll be relevant. When you pivot in the right way to get people around you and you start adding 10, 15, 25 new people a month, the explosion will go just out of your mind. Johanna.
Yes, you may have just taken care of it in the text for the materials. I was interested in the list with the energy, the 0 to 1,000.
I do.
Is that in the information?
No, but I'm going to post it in. I'll put it in there right now so that it'll be in there.
Okay.
Things. Give
Great.
me 5 minutes when we hang up, and I'll put it in there.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anybody else? Okay, let me take myself off. Like, there you are. Oh, how fun is that? I see some friends. I couldn't see all of you because I was recording it. So love that. Okay, smile again. Perfect. Anybody else? Okay, Lisa, you have your hand up.
Yes, sorry. Can you repeat the number for me? I have 270 and then 24, but I'm missing that one number before the 1930.
245.
245. So it's 270-245-1930?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you
That
so
is it.
much.
You're welcome. Is it Tanise?
Yes, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Great.
Good. So I had a question in here about, I know you said everyone comes in with 1,000 when you have a really strong unit.
Average.
Oh, average 1,000. Okay. I was wondering just about like strategies in ensuring that happens. I've just run into a string of women who just say they don't know a lot of people. They also don't have the income to even begin to even look at inventory. I mean, I guess I could have them put together a couple of parties, but you know, that's just an area that I'm kind of working on growth in.
I appreciate your vulnerability, Tanise, because you know that's an important skill, and it is a skill. So I had that modeled for me and my director when she took a piece of paper and she drew a chart on it, and it's the Ready Set Sell brochure now. But I'm thinking if I can do this in a way that would be beneficial to everyone. Let me tell you how she did it. She started with the 600. Told me what it would cost, what it's worth retail, what the free products are worth, and then my cost on that would be about 8. So I'd be getting all this free product, and I would get about, let's say, 6, 12, 14, about 1,500 for 800. And then she went to 12, 24 plus this amount free. And so she went all the way through it just on a chart. And she explained the benefits of each one. Now, this was after she'd asked me how many parties I wanted to do for the week, how many I wanted to do on average each week. And then based on the chart that's on the Ready, Set, Sell, it lets you know if you've already said, I want to do 3 parties a week. So it's 3, 6, 9, 12 parties for the month. She's going to need a 2,400 wholesale probably, right? So if you already know that on the front end, so based on what you said you wanted to do, Tanise, it looks like you're going to need about 2,400. So you may want to do higher, you may want to do more, but let me just tell you first that this is not something I expect you to write a check for today. Most people do either get a lending institution or a credit card as a way. And here's what my director said to me, Tanise. Pam, I know you're a find a way, make a way person, and I know you'll find a way.
All righty.
She expected me to find a way. So we've got to, as leaders, ask ourselves if we're embracing the excuses, if we're embracing excuses, or if we're creating a template for excuses, or if we're walking into the situation expecting her to have an excuse. Because what I'm expecting to run into people who find a way to get resources. So ask yourself, because when you say I've run into a string of, then it's possible that you're thinking the women I'm running into don't have resources and therefore they're not getting started. So what if you started saying, I'm going to run into women who are find a way, make a way women. They may not have resources on their own, but they're going to find a way and they're going to make a way. And I'm going to show them that based on wanting to hold 2 to 4 parties a week, what they would need to have. And then I'm going to be a creative resource for them, build some relationships with local banks, or know what credit cards are actually going to get approved at a decent FICO score. So get resourceful for them so that you have some solutions for them to take action on. Here's what I know. When they're what? I want to make money and start this business. And why? Because I'm going to get out of debt and quit my job. Is clear? How? I'm going to get this money. Answer the question.
Got it.
Right?
Yes.
Practice on that. I've got some video links of some, and it may still be on the video lounge that Sean Key and I did. Maybe it's not, on New Consultant Conversation. I don't know if I can link those up, but if you email me, I can send them to you.
Thank you.
PamelaWaldropShaw@gmail. You're welcome. You know what? I can post them on my Voxer. I think I can post the links on my Voxer. I'll post them on my Go Give Voxer. Are you on that?
No, I'm not on your Go Give Voxer, but I can join it.
Throw me a Voxer message or an email. I'll get them to you. Okay, I
Okay,
see a lot of hands. Rachel?
Yes. My question for you, I am a brand new director, and I went to leadership, and I got home and checked my production, and things are crazy small right now. What do you do when you feel like panicking in the last week of the month? Like, what is the best activity to do in a short amount of time to get the biggest results?
Yeah. I know that. I know that panic, and congratulations on becoming a new sales director. I'll bet you had a great time at leadership.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So what is the biggest bang for your buck? Well, 2 Diamond Star consultants coming in this week would change things pretty radically fast. Right?
Yeah.
Personally, like I sent my unit yesterday. I put them all in one place, and you guys can access this too. If you can you access that? Let me think. I guess you could. You can text the word team, that same number, and you're going to get a link of what I've considered to be the different good links that you can send out to people with a suggested text script to do some quick career chat, and then some follow-up in there as well. So I would say, Rachel, if you personally interviewed 5, 8 people live this week, the more that you can do spontaneously, like it might sound like this: hey, Rachel, spur of the moment, working on a really big goal right now, and oh, girl, you're who I want on my team. And I know it's probably not a yes, but I would love to get your feedback as I'm practicing. Is there any reason why we can't meet at Starbucks for a quick cup of coffee? I'm going to bring you a lip gloss just for sitting with me. Think about people who are super connected and know a lot of people, and then send them a link and ask them to watch, something beforehand. I watched my Why story this afternoon because it's 29 minutes long. So therefore it's not one that I would necessarily send to people, except that it's company produced, and the content is really beautiful, and I think very relatable to a lot of people for different reasons. And I think it tells us so much about our company. So I would say, Rachel, maybe not this week, but everybody needs to take 2 hours and look at the different stories that I put on those links, and then make a list of people who would relate to that story, so that as you're moving forward, you've got in your mind who would hear Coachy's story, who would hear, Leah's story, who would relate to Pam's story. So I would say that the biggest bang for your buck this week is, instead of trying to grab, 3 200s from your team members, would be to go find some star consultants to really get it rock and rolling. And best case scenario, they come in as stars. Worst case scenario, you've got momentum and something moving forward.
Thank you.
Yeah. We have a challenge in our area, of course, for a Max It Out challenge for people to do the 2,000 plus. And, with just a focus on some Valentine's Day sales, create a couple of great ideas for people to do Valentine's Day sales. And you're going to get a lot going from there. What did I promise that I would do? I promised I would put the vibration piece in the growth one. I don't want to get off here and not follow through on what I said I would do. That's my responsibility strength kicking in. Okay. Let's see. I got Johanna, I got Lisa, I got Denise, Debbie. Deb, is that Deb Miklos? No, it's different. Hi, Deb. You still have your hand raised, Deb? Maybe she didn't mean to raise her hand. Does anybody else have anything that you wanted to ask before we go? Okay, I'm going to wrap it up with this. Here's how goals work. Okay? Here's how goals work. Outcome, process, identity. Outcome, process, identity. Outcome. Outcome is that unit size growth. It's that one number. What is the outcome? What's my June 30th outcome? If what you've been doing the past 2 years has not brought you to a place of increase and advancement, pivot and focus on unit growth, unit size. Outcome. Process is what I'm doing every day taking me to that outcome. So let's say my outcome has been to get in a Cadillac, but my unit size isn't growing. So my process is I sell $1,000 a week. Okay, well, that's great. But that process isn't taking you to that outcome. There's got to be a multiplication, a growth of your unit size in order to build a Cadillac unit. Let's say you're building a national area. I'm gathering, I'm taking people, but you're not closer. So that the process you've got going on is not taking you to that outcome. So I want to build muscle, but I'm doing an exercise that doesn't cost me to do resistance. I may be getting healthy, but I don't add muscle. So my outcome does not line up with my process. So if the outcome that I say that I want and my process that I'm doing isn't taking me there, I've got to change. Don't change the outcome unless you're going for Cadillac, you're going for million, or you're going for national, and you're not getting closer. Then let the outcome for a minute be unit size growth. I'm going to be the first to tell you. Unit size growth and production, which creates your commission check, creates belief in you and belief in others, and it creates wealth, and it gives other people a place to play, gives other people a place to believe that they can, and then you can now show other people how to create that same increase. So I believe that unit size creates production, and I believe that the two in tandem create leaders. It's not trading people for production. Oh, I'm all about people. Don't insult the people who have created massive production by suggesting that they or we don't love or value people. Of course we do. I'm saying that your unit size growth and production will produce the outcome of leaders. And I believe that if there's a skill that you want to master, and that's back to Tanisha's question, it is that new consultant conversation. And I will put that on my Voxer chat. So if you're not on my Voxer chat and you want to be, just Voxer me privately, Pamela Waldrop Shaw. All one word is my Voxer ID, and I'll put you in the group. But I think I can share those links in Voxer. But you want to have a good conversation and you want to expect her to get started. Okay, so outcome, where you want to be June 30th, process that's going to take you there. Then there's one more thing, and it's identity. Do I see myself as a leader of 100? Do I see myself as a Cadillac director? Do I see myself walking into that dealership, pulling that pink thing off and making my slow-mo video and running with that pink thing? Do I see myself pulling that pink Cadillac up to my unit meeting? Do I see myself going to my parties in that pink Cadillac? Do I see myself with my new team member, my new prospect in the seat of that pink Cadillac going with me? Do I see my family in that pink Cadillac going on a road trip? Is the identity, do I see myself sitting on that throne? Do I see myself as a $1 million director? Do I see myself in the NSD suit? The identity, do you see yourself there? Create the affirmations to go with it. And that's where the 90-day process, the 90-day planner, that's a lot of you use it, so I'm going to reference it. The 90-day planner, which is on PamelaShaw.pink if you don't have one and you want one. We're not getting where we want to go by just keeping appointments. We have got to become someone who can see ourselves hitting that outcome. So the identity of who you are and who you see yourself as. If you're always seeing yourself as falling short, or maybe not making it, or running into people without resources, or people who quit, you've got to ask yourself over and over again, do I see myself there? When I sat here and my name was Pam Waldrop, I knew I was going to build a $1 million unit. I didn't need everybody else to believe it. I didn't need everybody else to know it. I knew I could count on me to do the day in, the day out, the grit, the multiplication, the vision, not let it go. Let my unit be a part of it. I knew that I could count on me to make it happen. The identity. when you see yourself and when you believe it. And this is where you've got to change in your 90-day planner. You've got to rewrite your key behaviors, your top 3 things. At the end of 7 days, I did the space in between 7 days before I came up here. I did the recalibrate. What went well last week? What could I change last week? Where were my wins last week? I totally reset up my whole week. Write out my goals. I rewrote them all out all over again. I looked back at my affirmations. I listened to my affirmations this morning. I will listen to my affirmations tonight. I'm looking at my vision board. Get that in place. And if your calendar is not taking you there, then try a 90-day planner. It's an official Mary Kay Creative Work. I can talk about it and share it with you. It's on PamelaShaw.pink. Comes in 2 sizes. But you've got to be in a place where every day you are re-ingraining your habits. You are recreating a new neural pathway over here that says people do like to come to unit meetings, and people love to come to my unit meetings because how are you creating a relevant unit meeting with music and interaction and contribution and people being a part of connection and a tribe? And how are you highlighting, what are you doing to make people want to be a part of where you're going? I'm not saying be fake or create something fake. I'm just saying bring the best you up and out. Because I believe with all my heart that you are more than enough. I know you've got more than enough. And what I've given you tonight, this is how to create sustainable growth. Outcome, it's your goal. Process, it's what you do to get there. Identity is seeing yourself in that role. And if one piece of that is missing, then that's the piece that you've got to really, really work on. So stop being everywhere and narrow it in and create a large unit size. Today, my unit size is over 500 and non-terminated. It's like 388 in some sort of active or inactive status. But I will retain them because I have a system that's going to capture and make sure that I retain them. And so I really want to encourage you, y'all. I remember when it was barely 40 and under, and I could not plug up the drain fast enough because the pain from what Adrian and Sally, their exit it was challenging. And so I've been where you are. And I want you to know that you are more than enough. When I look at this, I'm gonna take myself back off Spotlight. I'm gonna cancel Spotlight. I'm gonna look back at you guys again. I look at all these amazing faces and brilliance, and I know so many of you. When I see what you're doing and when I know what you're capable of doing, it blows my mind. And I believe, can you imagine? Can you imagine if everybody on here this week adds 10 new people? Can you imagine the growth and the energy? We literally have the future of our company in our collective hands, and the answer to that is growth. And so it's what you expect, Rachel. It's what you expect this week. Do you expect to bring in 2 diamond stars? Do you expect to bring in 2 who bring in 2? It's really going out with that expectation, and it's just like, it's that you're not even surprised when you bump into her because you were already prepared to meet her. You're already prepared to have the conversation. It's like Tanisa's question. She's already prepared now with the next person that she talks to expect them to be a find a way, make a way person and expect them to come in with inventory. If I would be afraid of anything, I'd be afraid of people not coming in with inventory because they don't have any skin in the game. And here's how you keep people. Point of decision, fast. As soon as they come in, within 24 to 48 hours, they make a product decision. Point of decision is fast. And then skin in the game. They've got an investment that they're going to do something with. My investment was in boxes, and I tripped over my bed to go to bed and tripped over the boxes to go to school the next morning to teach school. And I did that for months. I didn't know you could return, and I didn't ask. It wasn't that people kept it from me. It's just that what was in my head was, I'm going to do something with this. And so when we bring people to that place of, I can guide you, I can take you there. I believe with all my heart that you absolutely have what it takes to make it happen. So I hope this has been beneficial. Has any piece of it been beneficial? Something, I know some of you have walked with me forever, and so probably there wasn't a lot new, but hopefully something that you needed to hear in a new way or a fresh way. I would love to hear from you in what you walked away with. So feel free to post it someplace where we are gathered together. Can I pray? Can I pray for us before we go? No,